Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on weekend cruises all the time, and this video is going to be me talking poorly about casinos and the growing presence that they have on cruise ships. So, if that kind of content does not interest you, I know a lot of you love the cruise ship, or love the casino on the cruise ship, you might want to not watch this video. But for those of you with an open mind, want to just hear another side of the coin on why people don't appreciate the growing presence on casinos, this would be it. I'm going to give you some examples of where I'm seeing how casinos are taking over cruise ships. They're moving into new spaces, they're expanding, and I'm going to walk you through how loyalty programs are also pulling this in so that, it incentivizes people to gamble even more. So with that being said, I have been vulnerable in the past in saying, hey, here's why I don't gamble on cruise ships anymore, and I'll link to that video here. It's probably a year or so old at this point, but the key to it is I wound up losing more money than I thought I ever could give away simply to get free certificates to go on a cruise ship, and it was silly and it was stupid. I went back, looked at the numbers, because you all know when you gamble, they will tell you how much you lost. They will send you the form, or you got to submit it for your taxes. I saw the number, saw many cruises I went on, and I was like, this does not make sense. I can book weekends for around $500 right now. If I walked $500 into a casino, gambled it, I would get absolutely nothing in a free room if I lost just that. It is so much more efficient use of my money to just buy the cruise I want, buy an interior room, which is absolutely fine with me. I don't need the junior suites that I was getting all the time, as nice as they were. I don't need that. I'm never in the room anyway. And I don't have to play the certificate game on you can only go on this cruise on these days, none of that, or just waiting for one to come through. I just book what I want now, and it's so much nicer. With that being said, it's been a struggle to hold up to that. So I kind of made the video as an accountability to you all to say, hey, if you see me in the casino, kick me out. I should not be in there because I don't know how to gamble small or just gamble for fun. I am there and I am in it to win it, though I never managed to actually win it. So with that being said, I try to stay out of the casinos, and this is me being vulnerable. I don't know if you want to call it an addiction. It probably was. It was tough for me to kick not gambling on casinos. The smart thing for me to do would have been just don't come on cruise ships anymore. This is the only casino I ever used. And so if I was to stop coming on cruise ships, I would not have to gamble anymore. I wouldn't be tempted to gamble. But I don't quite want to tackle that addiction yet. Cruise ship addiction, different ballgame. I'm still enjoying it, still love making content. I just need to keep my happy self out of the casino. And that's what I try to do when I come on casinos. And it is getting harder every time that I come on board. And so I say that, let me give you some examples of what I mean. So some things that I like to do is, number one, I don't like walking through the casino. If I have to, I am heads down, trying not to look at the machines, trying not to hear them, because I'll absolutely see one and be like, oh my goodness, that one's getting ready to hit, I should go over there. And that just leads to disaster. So let me give you some examples of cruise ships, how they're changing, and what we kind of need to consider when we're doing this. And I'm going to pick on Royal Caribbean a little bit in this, because I think that they're probably the most egregious right now in how they're retrofitting or updating their ships to make them more casino forward. So the Oasis-class ships, we saw quite a while ago that they started this trend of building out a non-smoking casino, which I know a lot of people are a huge fan of. And so they have taken over, other spaces like the Jazz Club on their Oasis-class ships to turn it into a larger casino. So we're now losing an entertainment option as the casinos take over. The next one that I think about, so they've done that on multiple ships. The next one that I think about is Freedom of the Seas, one that used to be one of my absolute favorites. They now have expanded the casino to not only be directly below the promenade, but it is on the promenade in prime real estate. And look, I get the place where they put it. They can never figure out what the right venue was there to actually generate revenue. But I kind of hate that, they've now put a casino directly on the promenade where I can't avoid walking by it. If I walk down the promenade, it's prime real estate. You kind of have to walk through the promenade. I have to look at a casino and people in there playing and doing their thing, or I have to choose to look away. It's just annoying. I mean, I get why they did it, but on the promenade, that is such a visible spot for people like me who struggle with wanting to go in there and play when they should not. I don't appreciate that, and I might stay away from Freedom going forward simply because of that. You've also got Liberty of the Seas with Royal Caribbean coming up for a dry dock, and Lord knows she is in dire need of a dry dock. And I think this one's going to be, I had a friend on her yesterday, 45 days in dry dock, and she could use that and then some. But part of that is going to be extending the casino into the photo gallery. So right now you've got the casino, and then where you've seen playmakers come in on Freedom and Independence, you're going to see the casino take over that entire space. And so it's just giving it even more real estate when playmakers would have been a much better option that I would have enjoyed and actually maybe gotten some value out of, whereas I'm not going to use the casino, and it kind of kills that floor for me. I'm never going to walk on that floor at this point. The next one I'll call out here is MSC, and I'm only kind of calling out the ones where I have seen these changes that I am aware of. You all may know of more places where casinos are expanding that I just haven't had visibility into yet. But MSC's World America is a prime example of a different strategy here. The casino is not overly huge, especially for the class of ship. But what they did is they put one of their prime venues at the very back of the casino. So in order to get to this venue, and I forget the name of it, is it the Sea View? I'll get that and put it in the text box. But you got to walk through the casino to get there. There is literally no other way to get there than walking through the casino. And so again, I am forced with, okay, it's risky. I feel like every time I go into a casino, again, me being vulnerable, it's a little bit risky because I know that I might get sucked in and make horrible decisions once again. And so I'm trying to go head down, I'm walking forward, and it's just, I'm probably gonna run into somebody at one point because I'm just trying to get out of there as quick as I can. But it's just a place where now there's no way to avoid. If I want to go see the shows, and they put on some excellent shows in this venue, World Panorama, that's what it's called. If I want to see shows in World Panorama, I have to walk through the casino. There is literally no other way to do it. Maybe I'll wear a blindfold and earplugs and have somebody guide me through, who knows. But it's just one more place to show how casinos are taking over. The next place that I see it taking over is in conversations. So as you all have noticed, as casinos are expanding, clearly there are a lot more casino players on board. And casino players love to talk about the casino, their offers, their hits, their losses. Like, actually, not their losses. Nobody talks about their losses, right? We only talk about the things we win. And so the conversations are everywhere. And, I've stopped a few folks and just been like, hey, I don't want to talk about the casino. Like, that's not something that I am interested in. And so it's tougher to get away from those conversations because there's just such a strong number of people who are actually strong gamblers who are coming in and playing good money in the casino. And everybody's trying to play the certificate game. And so you want to talk about what certificates you got, are they coming through, and all that good stuff. It's just the conversations are everywhere and it's really tough to escape. I also, side note, I think casinos is one reason why we start seeing higher values for staterooms, because the casino is now able to buy the staterooms on the ship because they have to buy them to give them out for free. As we gamble more and have more people gambling, they're able to buy those at a higher rate and pay more, meaning people who don't gamble have to pay more as well because they're buying big chunks. No proof to that, but that's just a theory that I have. Now let's talk about loyalty programs, because I think this is another way that people drive behavior. That's what they're designed for, right? They want us to go on more cruises. In this case, I'll start with Royal, then I'll go through Carnival and briefly touch on MSC's programs. But with Royal Caribbean, they are two separate programs. You have the programs for the ships for your sailings, then you have the programs for the casinos, and they have their own loyalty programs. The issue that we're running into here is, they're giving the casino players a lot more benefits, or the same benefits as people like me who have sailed 1,600 cruise nights plus. I think I'm at almost the 1,700 mark with them now on Royal Caribbean. They're getting the same benefits simply because they came on one cruise and gambled a ton of money and they made status. And granted, it's really tough to make their master's program in one sailing. You do need multiple ones for that unless you are just an extremely high bettor. I don't challenge anybody to do that. But the cruise lines is giving them really good benefits to do that. It's also causing the numbers in the sailing programs, or in sailing programs such as Royal Caribbean's Crown and Anchor, to be really skewed. So the creme de la creme are peoples that are pinnacle and masters in the casino. So they feel like they are a higher tier because they have both of these. And it's really, again, dividing how Royal Caribbean treats some of their best customers. And I'm not saying that people that go into a casino should not get benefits. If you're losing a lot of money and benefiting the company so much, yeah, they should probably give something back to you. It just hurts some of us non-folks, and I've heard this more from people who have never gambled, never want to gamble, that they feel a little bit slighted because they've been loyal to Royal for all these years, and here the casino is kind of taken over. Carnival Cruise Line in their fun program or VIP program. I've only done one Carnival cruise recently, so I have no status with them. But my understanding of their program is it's now going to include all onboard spending. And so if you were spending money on board, including the casino, you're going to make really good status with them. And so it is very revenue based. I think a lot of companies are going to revenue based, but it's one more way that casinos are incentivizing people to gamble, to go in and lose even more money than they may have anticipated. I just take a little bit of issue with that because I think it's a very slippery slope, but I understand why companies are doing this because it works. Interestingly enough, MSC, and I'm just going to briefly talk about them, actually went away from that model that Carnival is going to. MSC used to, in their loyalty program, which is how I became Blue Diamond, include gambling onboard spending with your loyalty program, or with their loyalty program, the Voyagers Club. They no longer do that. It is only based on, did you buy a drink package, dinner package, and the room type that you booked. You're going to get different points awarded to you with that, but onboard spending no longer counts. So I commend MSC for kind of carving that out. I don't think they've ever really built a large-scale casino program here. I'm sure that that's probably in the works, but I think that it's a good thing that they took it away, because it's just not a way that you want to incentivize people, or at least I don't think people should be incentivized to gamble. I get why it happens, but I think it's like me incentivizing somebody to overdrink on alcohol. This is incentivizing people to overdo on gambling. So, very vulnerable video. Again, if you are a huge casino fan, I hope that you took this all with a grain of salt and recognize that your situation may be very different than mine. That I struggled with it, and I did not need to be in the casino. I was a bad gambler, if you will. Not that I think that there's a good gambler, but I just wasn't able to make the math ever work for me or pull myself away. So with all that being said, I'd still love to hear from you. If you've made it to this point of the video, let me know what your thoughts are on the expanding casino presence with cruise ships. Is that something that you're interested in? Or would you say, hey gosh, I think the space could be better used, or I'd find more value doing something else on the cruise lines? So very curious you all's thoughts. As long as they're kind and nice. I get, this is me being extremely vulnerable, that I've struggled with the casino, and I almost don't want to make these videos because it paints me in a bad picture. But with that being said, I'm not saying that you can't gamble. I'm simply saying it's not for me, and I recognize that there might be other people like me. Yes, there is Friends of Bill W on board. For those of you that know Bill W, he is the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so there are meetups led on the cruise ships. So if you're interested in going to one of those, but they're self-led. They're sporadic. I've never seen them well attended. I personally have never been to one, even though I probably should have a few times. But I've never done that, but it is an option available on board. Should anybody actually go to it, they'll still have the big book there for you to review if that's something that is comforting or that will help you. So with all that being said, I think it's also 1-800-GAMBLING if you do have addiction problems and want to talk to somebody about it. All right, I've liked this video. I rambled a good bit. We'll see if I actually wind up publishing it. Again, thank you for your support as I work through this and some of my frustrations with the cruise lines and casinos. But this is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hoping to see you on a weekend cruise soon.